Hey, badasses. Welcome back to another episode of the Badass Podcast, where it is my intention to share raw and real advice on how I want you to be bolder and braver in your life. I am your host, Sasha Davis, and today I'm super stoked. I have a good friend of mine who actually I haven't talked to in quite a while until recently on the phone with me, and her name is Shannon, and we go way back. We were just talking before I hit record that we have known each other for about 10 years, and we used to work together. we used to be workaholics together, I should say. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this call, and I want to see what she's been up to since then. So Shannon, fill us in.
Awesome. Yeah. So like you said, we met back in our old college workaholic days. I was going to school full time to be a teacher and working like 30 hours a week at one job. And then I had two other little jobs. So I was all over the place. So fast forward a little bit, I graduated with a degree in elementary education, got a job, moved away, all of that. I teach transitional kindergarten, which is not what I started as. I started as a para because any way to get your foot in the door is awesome, so just do it. So I teach transitional kindergarten in a little tiny district here in Northwest Iowa. I live in not the town I teach in, and that is actually my preference. I prefer not to mix like school and my personal life, and I really don't know anyone in the town I live in, and that's okay too. I've got full-time job teaching. I've got a couple little part-time jobs, a little like MLM thing on the side. I've got all kinds of stuff going on, but I feel like I can say I am much less of a workaholic than I used to be, and that's probably something that's just happened in the last like 6 months.
Oh, I love this so much. So you are a workaholic, and I think that that's one of the reasons that we get along so well. So tell me, what's the behind the motivation to be a workaholic? Like what's the inner drive that makes you want to just work all the time? Looking at you 10 years ago, what was the driving factor for you to have 2, 3, 4 jobs at a time?
And so my mother and I have conversations about this, and she always says that she pushed me to be too independent. And I don't think it's her fault, but that's kind of just what we joke, is that it's I made you this way. And I was like, I'm good. I kind of did this to myself. But I always feel like I have to be like able to stand on my own. Like I have to be able to do it all by my own, all on my own. I don't like to need help. That like is a huge struggle for me to need help, and God forbid to ask for help. So I didn't want to have to ask mommy and daddy for money in college, so I had enough jobs so that I could, I had student loans to pay for going to school, but enough money to support myself otherwise. So it kind of just like spiraled from there, I guess, and got worse maybe for a while before it got better.
No, that's totally fine. I know you said, in the last 6 months you've gotten a lot better. So what do you think has been, because you're still working quite a bit, but for me, from an outside perspective, you look happier, you look like you have more time, and even though you're still, like you said, working 3 and 4 jobs, you still have time for yourself. So kind of walk us through how you do that.
So the biggest change for me, quite honestly, in the last 6 months is getting a coach and working with you. And I know I don't have to say that, but if you feel like you resonate with what I say, talk to Sasha, because she will help you get your life in shape. So quite honestly, that's the biggest thing that's helped, because I'm a highly educated woman. I've got a handful of degrees. I've got an undergrad. I've got a ton of endorsements. I have a master's. I'm an independent, highly educated woman, and yet I still didn't feel like, I don't know, it feels like super cliche and nauseating even to say I wasn't living my best life. So
I know.
That really makes me kind of nauseous even to say that, but that's kind of I mean, that's kind of true. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to say I'm successful because I have a job. Like, I've had the same job for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
I have a master's, which is whatever. Like, if you want one, get one, but you don't have to have one. Like, it gets me a bigger paycheck, but woohoo. But I just, like.
No, you think you have all the things that your quote supposed to have. You know, you have the education, you have a great family support team, you know, you do get along with your parents, you do make a decent paycheck, you do have a job you enjoy, but you still felt like there was something missing. So kind of walk us through that process on where you were a year ago versus now.
Okay. So I finished my master's last summer. So, I mean, that did make a big difference in my, I'm going to say, free time. I did it all online, so that was one thing. But, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's not super hard, but it is a lot of work, and it's time-consuming. So finishing that did help. But then, you know, I mean, a year after that, I was kind of still a hot mess running around saying yes to absolutely everything. Yes, I'll work this shift. Yes, I'll work this weekend. Yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll be on this committee. Yes, I'll go to this. Like, I literally said yes to everything. Like, that was, and it's not necessarily because people pressured me to say yes. And yes, there are people that will take advantage because they know you'll say yes. But like, my family wasn't like that. They would always be like, no, you don't have to. It's fine. But like, I'm the queen of self-inflicted irrational guilt. And if I didn't do something, or if I had to say no to someone, I just felt horrible about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have taught me to say no and to like pre-schedule the things that I am going to say yes to. Like, yes, I will do 3 things for you this week. I'll go to 3 events. Which 3 should I go to? Which 3, you know, can no one else go to this event? Perfect. That's the one I'll go to. So saying no to some things so that I can say yes to other things.
Yes.
And that's,
go ahead.
It's not always saying yes to going somewhere or doing something. It might be saying yes to, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to read this book. Because I haven't read a book that's not like a textbook or a professional development book in years. Like, I couldn't tell you the last time I made it through a book without restarting it like 6 times.
No, I love this because I know how much of a struggle it was for you. And I know that that's where we are similar, is because I also used to be that yes person. Sasha, can you do this? Yes. Sasha, can you do this? Yes. And so hearing your story, it resonates with me so much because I was that person and I was burnt out. I mean, both of us, I mean, and I don't know what your schedule was, but literally from like 5 a.m. to like midnight, I was go, running around ragged, working for everybody else and never making time for me. And I saw those patterns in you, you know, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, whatever, you know, beginning of the year, we'll just say that. And now just that power behind the saying no creates space for you to just like chill out and enjoy the moment. Like you said, like, when was the last time? Like, I agree. 5 years ago, I don't even know the last time I read a book for pleasure. So what else do you do, or what was the hardest part about learning to say no? I mean, you talk about that guilt. So how do you manage the guilt now?
I mean, it's still a struggle, but I'm trying really hard to get better at it. The more I go through this, the more I learn how much my mom and I are like, because she's got the exact same thing I do. So I can talk to her about those things, and I can tell her, you know, I feel incredibly guilty about not going to do this, and I know you guys aren't making me feel that way, but that's how I feel. So like I've got you to talk to, I've got a couple friends I talk to, I've got my mom I talk to, and I'm trying really hard to like, no, there's no reason you should feel guilty about this. You're going to 47 other things. It's okay that you're not going to this one thing. So I'm like, I have like internal monologues with myself, basically, like trying to convince myself that, like, you know, it's okay that you're not going to do this. Like, stop feeling bad about it. There is absolutely nothing for you to feel bad about. Like, look around. How many other, and like, I'm going to use my nieces and nephews as an example, and they're definitely not the only thing, but that's the most relatable, probably. Like, how many other people's aunts go to all of their events? Like, none. We just happen to be like a super close family. And I mean, it helps I don't have a husband and kid of my own, but you know. Like,
Yep.
no one else's aunts go to everything, so why do I feel compelled to? I don't know, I just do. Like, I want to go to their things. Like, that's fun for me. That's important for me to be there. But, like, is it okay that I'm not at everything? Absolutely. So I'm, like, yeah, like, literally debating with myself about this.
I like to think of it as like a little Shannon on your shoulder. You have like the good Shannon and the
Yes.
bad Shannon, and I have the same thing. I have a good Sasha and I have a bad Sasha. But going back to the saying no and the feeling guilt. So I like to think of it as like you only have 100% of yourself, right? And you can only really focus on one thing at a time before you have to fill your own cup. And when you start to, pour into others by going to events or doing things or saying yes, eventually you're going to run out of things to pour from, right? And so by picking and choosing which things you can 100% be committed to, you can give all of Shannon to that particular task instead of like, let's say, for example, for me, if I were to go to a niece or nephew's event, but I was, felt guilty because there was other things that I had to do too, my mind wouldn't actually be at the event. I would physically be there, but I would not be present. Does that make sense?
Yep, exactly.
And so I know me personally, that's been the game changer in saying no, is I'm more present in the things that I do. And when I have that family time, when I have that business time, when I have that, cleaning time or reading time or walking my dog, or I am there, I'm not on autopilot.
Yep, absolutely.
So I love this because I know a lot of times we talk, we're one and the same. We sit there and bounce ideas back and forth, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're right. Oh, you're right. And it's getting back on track and saying no and keeping your time sacred to yourself so that you can continue to give to others. And I know this was also a struggle for you physically. If you want to kind of walk us through how you, how do I want to say it? Listening to your body more now than you used to.
Yeah.
Do you know where I'm?
Yep.
Kind of walk us through that.
So I had my second pretty major shoulder surgery back in December, just a couple days before Christmas, actually, which, like, everyone thinks I'm insane because I scheduled my surgery to have it over Christmas break so that I could miss the least amount of work possible because I'm a recovering workaholic alcoholic. Recovering workaholic, not an alcoholic.
That's awesome.
They're probably both just as addictive, so there's that.
Yeah, they are. I would agree with that.
A recovering workaholic, so I wanted to miss the least amount of work possible. So, of course, I scheduled my surgery over Christmas break so I could have those 3 weeks to recover. And then actually I ended up having to take an additional week off work that I didn't plan to, and that about made me break out into hives, but I literally could not. So there's that. So yeah, this was a way more involved, invasive, like mortar repair surgery than I anticipated. So I have needed a ton more help than I planned. Like, I thought it would be 3 days in a sling, a week off work, back good to go, ready to roll. No, it was, we cut an inch off of your bicep tendon and reattached it with a screw, so you can only lift a pound for the next 3 weeks. And then by the end of 10 weeks, I could lift 5 pounds, which, by the way, is not even a gallon of milk.
So how did you work through that?
Oh my God, it was horrible. I literally could not do anything. Like, the first, I think, 3 days, I couldn't even shower by myself. And then I was like, nope, I can wash my hair left-handed. I got this. Like, as soon as I could move my arm the tiniest bit, I was like, yep, I can do this. But, I couldn't do this. I needed help for everything. And I still do. I still can't lift. Two-handed, I can lift about 20 pounds. And that's, max. And if I, overwork that muscle, it gets super sore. And then I'm, worthless the next day because I did too much. Be nice to that arm. It was just repaired, but that's still a struggle that I need help with stuff. It makes me insane.
Yep.
But Luckily, I do have some people in my life who know this about me and know that I won't ask for help and I'll just do stupid things that I shouldn't and hurt myself again. So they just be like, no, you're not doing that. I'm doing it. Get out of the way. Or don't you dare touch that box. I will get it. So, I mean, it's good that I have people that will just be like, no, you're not. Sit back down.
Yeah. And I know that you did struggle. I mean, and it is still a struggle to ask for help. And I know that I have that same struggle. You know, you're always like it. And I think it's just the curse of being an independent woman or being raised as an independent woman. You just feel like you have to do everything yourself. And I mean, no shame on like the men out there, but you don't need a man to do it.
Right.
You know, and I mean, I was preached to that when I was younger, and now it's almost like a curse for me to ask for help, you know.
Yeah.
And I would rather, and I know, you know, you're in a similar boat, and we would rather harm our bodies than harm our pride, you know, than like take a chunk out of that pride. And it's like, wow, this stuff is so heavily ingrained in our brains that like, you have to do it yourself. You have to do it yourself. And it was a huge realization for me that it takes a village. It takes a community. And, you know, you're pretty fortunate in the sense that, you know, you have family members and friends that do help you. And I know that you've gotten a lot better at asking for help. But kind of, what do you say to those people? I shouldn't say to the people. What do you say to the woman right now who's listening and she's like, oh, I get it. I struggle asking for help. Like, what would you say to that woman?
Just do it. Just like shut your brain off. Like I'm doing that hand like thing to you right now. Just like, no, just shut up. Just let someone help you. Like it really won't kill you to let somebody help you. Like I promise, like I'm the first to be like, absolutely not. But like, just try it. You know, it might not be terrible to let somebody do something for you. Like right now I have people that mow my yard and like, I feel incredibly guilty about that, but I literally cannot start a lawnmower right now. So I have these wonderful people and I just say thank you. Like just let them do something for you and say thank you. Like if you need to bake them cookies, buy them beer afterwards, like whatever you need to do to thank these people for helping you.
I love that. And then it frees up time for you to do other things for Shannon. And so by having somebody mow the lawn, you know, it's easy for them to do it. It's not so easy for you to do it. So delegating those tasks that one, you either can't do, don't want to do, or just are a struggle for you to do, but that frees up time for things that you are good at and that you do enjoy. Like, I found it super helpful for me when I started, you know, asking my husband for help or asking for help from work or like hiring somebody to clean my house, you know, freeing up this time on the things that I was not good at. Like I suck at cleaning. Like I hate everything about it. And so I can delegate that task out, and to ask for help is really hard because you do want to do everything yourself. You know, it is my house and things like that. And you know, it is, quote, your lawn, but somebody else can do it easily and they would be happy to do it for you.
Right.
And so creating that partnership with a person in your community, a person in your family, or employing somebody to help you, you know, it's kind of like just passing the baton, but you're that thanks or that, you know, pack of beer or that paycheck that you give them just helps support them and fill them up.
Right. Yep. And like people are happy to help you. You just have to say yes.
Yeah.
Like, people are offering to help you all the time. Just say yes.
Well, it's just like you like when somebody asks you for help, you want to say yes, you know? And so it's on the reverse side. When you ask for help, people want to say yes. I mean, they don't say yes all the time. I've had people say no to me and I'm like, well, F you then, man.
Right? Like, here I am asking you for help and you're shooting me down. Thanks.
I don't need your help then. And then I go right back into that finger snapping independent woman.
Yep.
Like, I don't need anybody's help.
Yep. Didn't want your help anyway. I'll do it by myself. Like that's, yep.
Oh man, that's too funny. All right. So like what themes are coming up for you now? I mean, in the last, let's just say 2018, you've been killing it. You know, like I see all the progress you've made, all the things that you're doing, you're putting yourself back on the schedule. You just genuinely look happier.
Aww.
You sound happier, you know? So kind of tell us what's the next step for you.
Next step. I don't even like.
What's coming?
I know,
Well, I know you're coming back to school.
Yep. So I'll go. Oh, it's like a week. Monday, the 20th. I go back to work, just teachers. And I'm oddly like looking for, like, I work at a teacher store in the summer, and like I always joke and tell people, like, no, I've been with adults for the last 3 months. Like, I'm done with adults. I'm ready to go back to my sweet little 5-year-olds. So I'm always like borderline giddy to go back to school when other people are like, ugh. And I'm like, nope, I want my tiny people back. I don't like adults. So I'm like giddy to go back to school. And so since doing all this work and doing all this, like, to be better, happier, healthier, whatever, like, I've been working on my morning routine, which is another thing you have helped me with. And I mean, that was a struggle at first. Like, trying to meditate, I would about, like, jump out of my skin. Like, 42 seconds, nope, I'm done. Gotta go do something. I mean, and I use Headspace. I use a guided app. Like, I don't just sit there and, like, you know, like you envision sitting there with your fingers up going, like, that's not what happens. That's not. Like, that's the most unrealistic idea of what it is.
Yep.
So doing that in the morning, that helps. I think I can make it up to like 10 minutes some days with the cool little Australian guy talking to me.
I love the Australians. They have the best meditation apps. Is that
right?
I have a thing for Australians.
I think it's the accent.
Like, it's gotta be.
Because they're just like calming and just like, yep. And actually one day the dog or the cat, one of them stepped on my phone and they turned it off, so it was quiet for a long time. And it was a while before I'm like, wonder if he's going to talk again. Well, no, it had been off, but I was okay. And I didn't be like, why is nothing talking to me? Like, it was probably only like a minute before I realized this, but still, like, 6 months ago, I would have been like, okay, I'm done.
That is
sitting here in the quiet.
Yeah, and that's so much progress for you, because I know, when you first started, you're like, I can't do that. I can't sit in quiet. I have to be moving. I have to be thinking.
Right.
I have to be doing things. And
Can I meditate while I sweep the floor?
Yes. So what else in your morning routine has been a game changer for you? I'm just sitting here cracking up, because I was the same thing. I would sit here and I would meditate, and then the dogs would come up and nose me, or I'd be like, shit, I got to get ready for work. I got to feed the dogs. The coffee's done. You know, my brain would just go haywire. And now it's to the point where, like, I can tune everything out and just sit here and chill by myself, working on my breath. And some days I do it for 15, 20 minutes, you know, and you just feel so energized when you're done. Like, it feels like I got an entire night's rest when I sit here and meditate for 15 minutes. And I absolutely love it. But I had to be consistent, and I had to work at it. And I do love the Headspace app, and I do love Simple Habit. Mm-hmm. And then I know that we've both have listened to Abraham Hicks, and I know she's a little woo-woo, but I kind of like her stuff because it's another guided meditation. But yeah, anyways, sorry, on a tangent. I love meditation.
No,
Tell me what else works in your morning routine.
I totally kind of like the hippie woo-woo chick. So I'm embracing the hippie woo-woo in my life, because, you know, maybe more people need that.
I think everybody needs a little more hippie woo-woo in their life.
Absolutely. Okay, so in the morning, like this morning, so I had to Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 myself out of bed, because the dog got up to go potty at like 2:30, and I was like, oh, for the love, it's 5:30. I'm not getting up. So I actually didn't get up till like 5:45, because I was like, snooze. So I 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 myself out of bed. Like, I go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, do all of that. I've got some meds for like the asthma allergy situation, and my Thrive and my B12 vitamin, that good stuff. Start the coffee, and then I write like my to-do list stuff that has to get out of my head, because I found that I need to write that down before I meditate. Otherwise, like, it's hard to get those thoughts like out, if that makes any sense.
Makes perfect sense.
So we coffee and to-do list, and then I meditate with the Headspace app. Usually, I mean, I don't usually go over like 10 minutes, because that's all the stamina I've got for right now, and that's okay. It'll get better. Mm-hmm. And I read for about 20 minutes. Right now I am reading Furiously Happy by Jenny Lawson, and I thought I would be done with it by now, but turns out I work a lot in August. So there's that. And I read for a little while, and then I go make my Thrive shake that I do for breakfast, and then I go through my planner, which is, I have an Erin Condren planner, and I absolutely love it, and everything goes in there. And then I have like a time block checklist, which is another thing you've taught me, and like devote like, okay, here's your half an hour for chores. You better get everything you can get done in half an hour, and that's all. Go do chores. So I've got my time block stuff for the morning, and then I've got time block stuff for in the evening after I get home from work. So we go through the planner and I like my to-do list, my plan, all of that. Shower, do all my random field stuff, and then get ready for the day. And it's
awesome.
I think it'll actually be better once I'm like on a schedule where like I leave for work at 7:00 every day, whereas in the summer, like I coached softball at the beginning of the summer, so that was like a hot mess of a schedule because I'd be out till 10 or 11 at night, and like 10:00 is bedtime, folks. So I had to like adjust that, and that was weird. And then like I didn't go anywhere till 10:00 in the morning, and then it was weird. And now like even just working, I don't go anywhere before 9:00 in the morning, so I have all this time to like sit around and do stuff and clean.
Work on Shannon.
Yes. So now I get to push my morning back to a normal 5:00 wake up time and be out the door by 7. So that's an adjustment I've been working on. Because I worked on adjusting it like to be the other direction for softball season, and now I'm working on adjusting it back to like a normal time. Because I like to think I'm a recovering insomniac. Sleep is something that was a struggle for me, which sounds like the stupidest thing. Like of all the things to suck at, I suck at sleeping.
You've gotten so much better though. So walk us
Yes.
through what you've done, you know, in the recent months to get more rest. You may, and let me just, well, no, I'll let you talk about it because I don't want to put words in your mouth. So talk about your sleep.
So I've always tried to stay like on a sleep schedule, and people would think I was nuts for getting up at 6:00 on the weekend, but like that's like I could find you some research articles on it, but like it's legit. Stay on your sleep pattern if you're someone who struggles with sleep, otherwise your body gets out of whack. But I don't sleep like through the night like I'm a child, but I kind of do now. So I like keep a notebook in my room, and like when shit pops in my head, I go write it down. So then I don't have to just sit there and overanalyze it and like, well, what if this? What if that? What if this? And so I just write it down, and then I close the book and put it away. And I listen to, what is it? There's like a sleep meditation thing that I listen to, and I think it's on Headspace. And then when I wake up in the middle of the night, which happens a lot, like I've got an 8-month-old puppy, so whatever. There's a falling back to sleep app. So instead of like clicking on the TV like I would normally do, I pop on the falling back to sleep Headspace thing. And so I think that helps. And I don't know, I just feel like calmer. Is that the right word?
Yep. No, it is. And you're less anxious, and you're more
Right.
rested, and you're more at peace. And so talk about the journaling and writing stuff down, because I call this a brain dump. Some people call it like a personal inventory or whatever it is, but let's just talk about journaling in general, because I know that this was another thing that I personally struggled with, and I'm assuming you did too, in the sense that I thought journaling was like, dear diary, this is what my day is like, and just talking about, I don't know, random stupid things that didn't really matter. But for those people out there who do not journal, kind of walk us through what journaling looks like for you, because for everybody it's different.
Right. So no, I totally had the like, dear diary, today I ate this, and I talked to so-and-so, and I played with this kid at Reef. Like that's what I thought it was. And it's definitely a struggle for me. Like like we had just been chatting, I very rarely write coherent sentences. Like it's almost always like a list or like a half of a thought, or like I do a lot of to-do lists. Like, well, and it's not even really a to-do list. It's just everything that's in your head gets written down on this piece of paper, and it's just like a hot mess of a list that makes sense to nobody but you. Mm-hmm. And it just like everything that's in your head goes on that page.
Yep.
But like last night I wrote like my first coherent sentences that I've ever written.
And that's a huge win.
It was in preparation for talking with you today. And I just made a list of everything that's helped me in the last like 6 months. And like on my list is like meditation and time. Like since when would meditation ever be on my list? Like really, like that's like not something I ever thought I would do. So my list has like meditation, journaling, saying no, setting boundaries, a morning routine, the time block scheduling, and getting a coach. Like those are all like 6 pages worth of gibberish as to how those, however many, 7, 8 things have helped me in the last 6 months.
And I know with the, with the brain dump, and it may just all look like lists or like things to do, but really though, if you think about it, if a woman thinking about this, how many thoughts run through your mind in a day? If you're anything like me, my mind goes a million miles an hour. I have squirrel brain like no other. I will be looking at one thing, in the drop of a hat, I will be thinking about another thing, and then that makes me think about something else. And before you know it, I'm on this big giant tangent, and I have no idea where I even got into this rabbit hole. So journaling for me was putting those thoughts, setting a timer, putting all the thoughts that I could possibly think of on a sheet of paper and organizing those thoughts based on what things I actually need to do, how I'm feeling, how I want to feel, and things that I need to do today, tomorrow, next week, this month, this year, 10 years from now. Sometimes I would get in such a rabbit hole. I'm like, what am I going to do when I'm 60? I don't know. Write it down, and work through those thoughts, come back to those thoughts, and then you can journal on it more, meditate on it, think about it, sit on it, and just getting all of that madness out of your head and onto a piece of paper for the sake of your sanity, for lack of a better word.
No, once it's written down, you can like kind of let it sit. You can stop stressing about it because it's written down. You're not going to forget it. It's not going to go away, but it doesn't need to be bouncing around in your head anymore because it's on the paper. It's where it needs to be.
You're just creating that mental space to focus, to relax, to put your mind at ease. By putting the stuff on paper, it's in ink. It's not going anywhere. You can always come back to it, and it just helps keep me, helps keep my mind at ease. See, I can ramble too. So,
yep, absolutely. But it just makes sense. However, I'm pretty sure we're basically the same person. So, I mean,
I know. Every time we talk, I'm just like, I feel like I'm talking to myself in a way.
Like down to the blonde hair, green eyes. Like
I know. And people, when we used to work together, people would always get us confused. Is she your sister? I'm like, nope. We're just 2 head cashiers hanging out by the salt rack. No big deal.
Don't mind it. We're just here. Carry on.
I love this. Okay. So a couple more questions before we wrap this up. So we've talked about a lot of stuff, putting yourself back on the calendar, saying no, journaling, meditating, healing your body. What do you think has been the biggest game changer for you this year to get you to where you're at today?
I like making myself a priority again, because I was last on the list for absolutely everything. Like I would go 6, 8, I don't even know how long it's been since I've had a haircut, which granted it's growing to get donated, so that's not a valid point, but I stopped getting my nails done. I don't get my haircut. I haven't had my hair colored in who knows how long, because that's just for you. No time, move on, do something for someone else. You need to go do all these other things. And I was at the bottom of the list, and I felt like crap. And people have said this, I look like I have my shit together. I look like I've got it all going, which I feel good about the fact that I didn't look like a hot mess, but I felt like a hot mess.
So walk us through how you felt before versus now. Cause what does a hot mess feel like? What emotions did you feel on the inside, old Shannon versus new Shannon?
I felt like I was always rushing and frantic and late to be somewhere, or I was paranoid I was going to forget something and need to be somewhere and not show up, and then I was going to let someone down, or something catastrophic was going to happen because I didn't show up where I was supposed to be. So I have 42 planners and 19 reminders on my phone because I have to be going all just frantic. And I struggle with the word anxiety because I'm really not sure what anxiety feels like. So I don't know if I had anxiety. And that's that sounds stupid, I know, but
That's not stupid.
I just like frantic and rushed and just exhausted. Like I would go to the point of extreme exhaustion where I would literally get physically sick. Like I would literally get the flu. Or like last summer, in August, I got strep for the first time in my life. I was 30 years old and I got strep for the first time in my life because I was so insanely exhausted and go and working all the time. Like that's not okay. So it's like just exhausted and frantic, I think, are my best like describing words.
Totally understand you. I did the same thing. You literally serve others so much that your body starts to become ill, starts to be full of dis-ease, starts to deteriorate more or less. Like your mental space, your physical body, everything just starts to kind of like shut down to say like, wake up, Sasha, wake up, Shannon, I'm fucking dying here, slow down. And it does. It's your body's way of saying like, nope, you're going to get sick because there's no other way that you're going to slow down and take time.
You're not listening to me.
Exactly. So you've been really tuning in to Shannon lately. So what do you feel now?
I feel like calm, like peace, like just like I know what I'm doing. I've got a plan. I've got like routines. I have structure. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. And yeah, I started to get a little bit sick a couple weeks ago, and we had chatted about this, and I was like, oh yeah, that's probably why you're sick. And then I like spent half of the next day on the couch doing nothing because I needed to rest. And I was like, this is what you're gonna do, whether you like it or not. Sit your ass down on the couch, binge watch something, and I did. And I never would have before. I've been like, maybe you can watch one episode. No, I watched like an entire season of Gilmore Girls, I'm pretty sure. But I wouldn't have done that before. I mean, I may have watched seasons, but it's like while I'm running around the house cleaning and doing this and working on school stuff and cutting out laminating, and like I wouldn't just sit on the couch and do nothing. I wouldn't just sit and watch TV. I wouldn't just sit and read.
You were multitasking, which is another thing that drives me insane because I feel like multitasking is complete and utter bullshit.
It is.
And I know we've had this conversation before. So tell me, I could just talk to you for hours, but okay, tell me real quick about multitasking in your life.
Well, I mean, like, I agree. Like, you try to multitask, but you can't. Like, you literally cannot give all of your attention to more than one thing at a time. Mm-hmm. So just, like, even just, like, cleaning. Well, okay, you can't be doing this and this and this in 5 rooms at a time because now you've completed half a task in 4 different rooms and you feel like you've accomplished nothing. Whereas if you just go sweep all the floors, now all your floors are clean. Like, ta-da, go wipe off all the counters. Do the kitchen, do the bathroom. Like, now all your counters are clean. Don't, like, ping around because, like, I'll clean and be like, oh, this needs to go here. This needs to go there. I need to do that. Oh, that window's dirty. Better wash it. Like, it's kind of calming the ADHD tendencies a little bit. Just, or like the squirrel, I need you to do this now. Just devote all of your attention to one thing. Like, don't half-ass things. Use your full ass.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do all of your attention to one thing. Do that. Get it done. And then go on to the next thing. Like, you can't multitask. It's not. Like, I was all for like, oh, no, if I can do it. Well, no, lies. You can't. It's not. I mean, you might be able to do both things, but they're going to be half-assed.
And now that you do this monotasking or single tasking, don't you feel so much more accomplished? Because I know I do. I'm like, oh, sweet, I have all of the dishes done. I have all of the laundry done. Instead of like starting a load of laundry, sweeping one room, washing, I feel so much more accomplished when I focus my time on one task from beginning to end. And I'm like, okay, sweet, I can check that whole thing off the list. And I'm a really list person. I know you are too. And being able to like cross that off the list and say, done, is such a feeling of accomplishment. And I can only do that when I focus on monotasking. So
I think it's even changed like how I write my to-do list, because I would write things like clean kitchen. Well, no, don't write clean kitchen, write wipe counters, and that means all the counters in the house. Write sweep floors, and that means all the floors. Wash windows, that means all the windows. Don't write clean kitchen because that's vague to begin with. But you can't cross that off. Because
you can't.
I suppose you could clean an entire room like in entirety if you could, trap yourself in there and get it done. But like, right, clean floors. That's what's on the list. Clean all the floors.
For the sake of simplicity and monotasking, I agree to simplify your things that you need to do. Instead of saying clean kitchen, what do you need to clean in your kitchen? You need to wipe down the counters. You need to, and you put that wipe down counters. You do all the counters. You sweep all the floors. And so, no, just the monotasking and the multitasking, I think I 100% agree. And I can go on and on for hours on that. So, but let's start to wrap this up. So to the woman listening to this, I know you were a workaholic, not an alcoholic, a workaholic. So to the workaholic listening to this, what do you say to her?
Just stop. Just like make yourself more important than work. Like you're important too. Like your work is important. Obviously you have a job because it's important to you or it's something you value. I mean, presumably. But just like you're just as important as your work is. So, I mean, live your life that way. Make yourself a priority just the way you make work a priority.
And then everything else falls into place.
Take care of yourself first, and then you can do the other things better.
I love it. I could talk to you for hours. I feel like we could just ramble on because we're both rambling machines, and
we are.
Everything we talk about is like, yes. We're just sitting here like preaching to each other.
Yes, exactly. And then we go on 47 different tangents.
Squirrel!
Yes.
All right, cool. So if people want to get into contact with you, follow you, ask you questions on your journey, or just see what it's like in the life of Shannon. I mean, you have a pretty cool Instagram page. I know you're pretty active on. You have a Facebook group for your side business that people can get a hold of you at. So tell me how people contact you. How do we get more of Shannon?
Any of those work. Instagram, Facebook. I think my Facebook is private or whatever, but I've got a public page for my business that's got all my contact information on it. So any of those, yeah. And you just pop them in the show notes or whatever. That would be great. I love like even doing all this work. Like I've connected with so many like amazing women that I never would have known before. So I'm like all over that. Like if you're inspiring, like we need to be friends. So that's like, yeah, I am all over that.
It's so fun, isn't it? I just love everything about this.
And like, you just get to be like cheerleaders for all these women that you like don't even actually know in real life now, but like you want them to succeed. Like you're happy when they share their victories and like, oh my God, you guys, today I did this. And you're so happy for these people that you don't even actually know, but like you get to be their biggest cheerleader, and that's awesome.
It's such an amazing feeling. It's so it's just when you take that first leap, it's so scary at first, but then you jump and it's just like this immediate relief, happiness, calmness, and you're just like, this is only the beginning, and it feels fucking awesome. So all right, let's wrap this up. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I loved talking to Shannon. She's a ton of fun. And we actually have pretty highly educated conversations. I know today we got a little rambly, but that's okay. That's just life in general. But if you enjoyed this podcast, this episode, this interview, please, I would super appreciate it if you would leave a 5-star review and rating, because not only does it help me, but it helps get the word out. It spreads the word to more women, and we can get more guests on the show, and I can be able to provide more free content for you guys. And I love reading your reviews, and I thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, guys, go be a badass.